Law of two, duality becoming multiplicity, in operation. Duality is the governing law of appearances and is an outcome of the primary laws. Duality is fundamental in our universe, but in a larger view, everything exists in oneness. The first splitting into this and that allows further diversification to occur, which is multiplicity. Much like a prism brings forth light in the full spectrum of color, duality gives consciousness a range of expressions and experiences. From the duality of eternal, temporary, consciousness diversifies into a multiplicity of expressions. Revealed in humanity. We live in a fundamentally dual world, and we are governed by the law of duality. For example, in this universe, we experience me, not me, up, down, alive, dead, action, reaction. We express duality through multiplicity. By learning to turn electricity on and off, for example, humanity gave rise to a variety of electronic devices, which can be used both constructively and destructively. Like electricity, consciousness is experienced in many different ways within and among different beings. On the spiritual journey, we are called to embody oneness in this dualistic setting. The light of being reveals the relationship of consciousness to duality. This is akin to zooming out and seeing the big picture instead of focusing on individual instances that appear separated. All individuals are powered from the same source of consciousness. Beingness is embodied and applied consciousness. What people call duality is consciousness displayed in myriad forms. When ego interferes with the power of being, it uses duality to counterfeit that power. For example, when someone takes action based on personal demands, they might use something true, such as compassion, for a false purpose, such as trying to make someone feel guilty. Conflict derives from duality. When people are ensnared in duality and multiplicity, they feel separated from the realm of universal consciousness. For example, sometimes people label others as different from themselves as a way of withholding respect. Ego gains and retains power by putting the personal above the universal. Antithesis. The antithesis of duality is oneness. Duality resolves into unity in the same way that the full spectrum of colors resolves into white. We become unified when we become aware that everything derives from infinite eternal consciousness. Consciousness knows what it is doing here. It is experiencing duality and multiplicity through us in this world. There is no glory in opposing consciousness. Application: how to embody oneness while being human. Wake up and consciously choose awareness of oneness instead of the sense of separation inherent in duality. Actively give your attention to the present and allow consciousness to reveal operations to you. One practice involves translating dualistic conversations into oneness conversations. This means include all aspects of life, such as duality and multiplicity, into the totality of beingness and the awareness of wholeness. For example, embrace sorrow, sickness, and loss within the experience of oneness. Consciousness, light, and life exist in everything. Life is shown by light, such as the light of your inner being, and light reveals consciousness. Transcend your personal limited perception and cease judging duality as good, bad, right, wrong, or better than, less than. Because duality is simply part of the human situation. Expand your observations to include polarities. Even the worst experiences are within the realm of eternal consciousness and are available for humanity's progression. Instead of operating solely at the level of physical human senses, look deeply to realize the underlying connections in consciousness. Duality disappears when we bring our attention to the all in all. Yes, it can be difficult to embrace the wide spectrum of life experiences. Focus on the law of integrity, which is wholeness, to open possibilities. Effective action neutralizes duality. By taking action that sustains life or nurtures well-being, you connect with the eternal, whether consciously or not. Effective action is in tune with being and is an expression of being because it is consistent and coherent with the divine. Focusing on effective action is key to learning how to work with polarities because you see beyond the limitations of your personal self. Relationship with progression. The law of duality helps reveal, expand on, and clarify the law of progression because progression is innate in being. Beingness is dynamic, not static, and involves duality such as me, not me. In other words, a being is an individualized expression of the One, and beingness reveals the progression of conscious light because the more you operate in being, the more light you reveal. Progression ultimately reveals consciousness.